فریک وان دن هرتن. فریک وان در هرتن که همون اسپتی که کینگ پکیج دیولپمنت لاراول هست، امیدوارم همتون بشناسید. اینجا میخوام یه ویدیویی رو مخصوص اعضای ویژه که من در رابطه با کد با همکارانم، با CTO و سینیور دیولپر، من که تک لیدم، صحبت کردیم با فریک در رابطه با اون کدی که من نوشتم یه مقدار، یا ما نوشتیم، یه مقدار فیدبک میده. این جلسه اوله. این ویدیو فقط مخصوص اعضای ویژه هست چون نمیتونم برای همه شیر بکنم. امیدوارم خوشتون بیاد و یادتون باشه فریک کینگ پکیج دیولپمنت هست، مال کشور بلژیک هست و این شخص خیلی کد نویسیش خوبه، تو ورد کلاس هست. یعنی تیلور آتول که برنامه‌نویس لاراول هست، سازنده لاراول هست، این یه لول ازش پایین‌تره و من باهاش صحبت کردم. ببینید که در رابطه با کد من چی میگه و ببینید که اصلا ما اشکال داریم یا نه. امیدوارم از این ویدیو خوشتون بیاد. حتما به ما سابسکرایب کنید. بریم به ویدیو رو ببینیم.
Do we wait for more people or
it's me and Noor. I don't know if Adrian wants to join. Adrian.
I don't know. Let me take a look at what was in the calendar. It says here. Okay, let's just start. If it's just you and Noor, that's fine. That's fine. So I took a look at the packages and the application.
Yeah.
And Alex here, I already shared my findings with him, and yeah, we shared some couple of thoughts just to see if what I'm going to say makes sense. No?
Okay.
Let me share my screen with you. Present now, and it can be the entire screen. No problem. I'm going to take my notes here on my cell phone, but I also have all these notes here that I'll share with you. And, yeah. So I took a couple of hours, and I mostly concentrated on this packages directory, and also took a look at the app itself as well. So these are just the initial findings. Like I said, I only took a couple of hours, not longer than that. And I think that the biggest thing that I'm going to propose is move these packages into the app directory. So we talked a little bit about the structure, and this is really a non-standard setup. I think for newcomers, it's a little bit strange that there's like a packages directory here. And there are also like a lot of things that in my mind aren't really needed. You have like a changelog here, contributing, license, and even a README. And it seems to me that this is a little bit overkill if you're never going to have like an on-premise installation for this. I think what you said was we like to have these packages separate because we
want to modularize modular.
Yeah, you want to modularize it a little bit, and also if you have like a customer that doesn't need one of these features, that you can easily disable it. But I think you can have that modularization in a slightly more standard way.
So Freek, you mean move what we have inside the app? Okay.
Yeah.
So the packages folder inside the app folder. Okay.
Yeah, but the logic of it, we're not just going to simply drag it there, or that's not what I'm proposing. What I propose is that we have like a new namespace here, and I believe that you name these things connectors, right?
Yeah.
Like connectors.
Yeah, those are sources.
Yeah. What I would do, just to simplify things, is make like a new connectors directory here, where all that logic will live, because it's really no sense in
I think
yeah,
I think the reason we had broken them out, I guess I could maybe clarify, is just so that for maintenance in the future. I mean, the goal is to put them out as separate packages, and so that when you create an instance, you can have other people maintaining those connectors. So for example, we're obviously the only ones maintaining it at the moment, but in the future, the goal is that you could create your own connector whenever you want. And I guess what we could do is say, hey, here are the ones we are going to maintain, and we could have the ones that we're going to maintain inside of the app. But ideally, later on, those are things that we don't want to maintain, basically. We're looking at like the long term where it's like, hey, we could have junior people maintaining their stuff and then pulling that code in, and we're not reliant on maintaining, the random source package. Right now, all the ones that we have we're maintaining, so we could move them. It's not a big deal. It doesn't make a difference. But in the future, we would like to make it modular, almost like we talk about like Socialite, where it's like we're maintaining the overall manager, and then other people are maintaining the individual connections. And that's why we broke it out that way. I mean, having the packages thing, we haven't published them. That's why it's there. But ideally, we'll publish them to separate repos and then have them pulled in from the composer. But since we're maintaining them all, we have them all in one repo. But that's the goal there. That's why we did it that way. So like these are all ready to be published into separate repositories, and then maintained by individual people. We kind of have that going on now. So if they're being maintained individually by separate people, like, Haas will maintain like one of the Amazon ones, Matt will maintain a different one. And that's basically what's going on there. And that's why they're separated out that way. But if we move them into sources, that could still occur. And then we could have additional packages that are maintained by other people. But that was the idea, is that they're broken out that way. That's why they're broken out. That's why they have readmes and stuff like that. The other thing that we use with the readmes, I don't know if you saw, is that's how we pull some of that data from those packages into the site. So some of the things, for example, that the slide out, like where it tells you an instruction set of that package and stuff like that, basically.
Yeah.
But that's why it's like that. I don't know. Is there any performance hindrance? Is it just aesthetic thing? Like, what are you thinking as to like bringing that into the core of the application, essentially?
Well, we looked at it, and it just really feels like it's so tied into your core business, especially some of these packages that are going to be like, they're going to have some views, probably some UI, migrations, config files. Like, I'm not sure if the overhead is worth it to pull it in a separate composer package. You could just as well have it in a separate namespace. And like you said, there's still room to add additional like custom-made connectors or sources as a package later. But for now, I think it's just going to streamline development to have it all in there. You can still assign a junior developer to a certain connector or a certain namespace, like just like stay in this directory, more or less.
That's for mail coach. So mail coach is like a MailChimp like SaaS that we've built, which also started out as a self-hosting thing, which reminds me a little bit of this. We had like drivers to communicate with different services, and we started out with having them as separate packages. But if we would do it all over again, we would now pull in that logic that we want to maintain ourselves, because it's easier for maintenance. And if there are third-party drivers, that those can still be packages. It's not like the one way or the other, that if you pull this in your own logic, that you can't have packages anymore. But we feel that it would remove some of the overhead that you're having with this structure. From experience, it's easier to maintain if it would be like a first party or like first citizen code of the application.
Okay.
Weren't there already like views and controllers for some of these, like some of the functionality in these connectors as well?
Yeah, I think for Dropbox, certainly this isn't like the whole code, right? Because you still have like JavaScript resources that are the views for this, right?
I don't think so. Do we have any? I don't think there's any views now.
We don't have views. Views are like common, basically. We just have like logos that we're getting from there. That's it.
I think, I don't know for sure. Did I see like an inertia stuff here? Like
That's different. That's for the music package. Those have like certain views. Those like folders and stuff like that. That I could agree. We could probably move that in. Those are not part of the connections. Those are like core of the application. So that could definitely be moved over.
Yeah.
But the other ones, and this is probably where we need to rename stuff so that we know. We should probably just call it source dash and then box source dash, custom source, so we know what they are. But yeah, the folders one has a view, and then that's about it, I think. Maybe event analytics as well. So I think maybe like the middle ground would be to move those over, because those do have views, and those are required as part of the core application. But the other ones don't have any views. They're just literally
sources.
Sorry. Yeah, they're inheritance of the other main manager, essentially.
But would you ever like have this maintained by like a third party, like Dropbox? Yeah.
That's the goal, right? Like the way we look at it with all the packages is that, especially for the sources. So maybe I could give you list them out, like how they break down, but Dropbox is a source. And so all that really needs to occur is that we need to have 4 methods implemented for that source. Or there's a few other ones that are ancillary, but if you think about it, we need to be able to list the files on that source, or authenticate, which is doing OAuth, which a lot of them do. And then you need to be able to list the files, get a specific file, and then maybe upload. Basically 4 different things or 5 different things that have to, that are the same across every source, have to be implemented specifically for that source, because obviously the APIs are a little different across these sources. And so that's basically all these sources are doing. They just have basically the service provider and a Dropbox interface. If you go on there, it probably has like the 4 different things, show or whatever it is. I forgot what they are. Methods that have to be implemented, and that is inherited by the manager from the manager, and then implemented on your own. And and so that's the goal there, so that junior dev or anyone can create their own source package. So like we have some of them that are for SMTP, FTP, or maybe even have like a local SMB or something, and you want to implement your own connection. And that's basically how that's set up there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, that changes the situation, because the last time I asked, the answer was like, no, this is like part of the application. Nobody else is going to touch this. But I guess the answer was this: nobody's going to touch this for now, and in the future you want to have other people work on this, right?
Yeah, that's basically it. Like at the moment, obviously, when you're getting a project up and running, you have to do everything yourself. But the reason we started this way is so that we have that mindset of building so that other developers can come in and then add their own connection to whatever they want. And by doing that, we ate our own dog food in the sense that like we had to create a manager that would accept this. We had to create a manager that's able to be versatile enough to accept different sources. And like, we'll find a different source, for example, that doesn't have, we're talking today, we're like, oh, we want to be able to do delta syncing as opposed to full syncing. Some sources you can pass the date created. Some sources you have to pass an ID. You have to do certain different types of pagination for different sources. You have to deal with like all that. And basically by doing all the sources ourselves, we're able to create an abstracted generalized manager that should, in theory, be able to accommodate any new source coming in. And that is basically the adapter, the adapter design that we've opted for. But at the moment, we're managing all this stuff. And so some sources, for example, have, as you see there, they have comments. Some sources have like metadata on there that we want to be able to extract. And by creating these module things, and someone will come in and say, for example, for frame, say, hey, they have this metadata, or they have a collection stack. Our manager doesn't support collection stacks. Okay, so we have to update the manager. Now it supports collection stacks in a general way that later on, if some other package comes in and has a collection stack, for example, Vimeo has a collection stack, we're able to use that same collection stack and implement that across them. And so that's kind of what's been going on, is that we're looking at it like developing it as if people were bringing all these different things in, and how we are able to unify that in a manager that's able to adapt that into a generalized method.
I also took a look at, but not really in depth, not yet, on how this is set up. And one of the things that I found a little bit strange, or maybe you have a good reason to do so, you have like these interfaces, right? where you have like folder interface, and here you say, hey, if you have the folder interface, you should set that Boolean has folders to true. But wouldn't it be more logic that in the code that consumes this, you would just take a look, like, does it have a folder interface? Yeah, then we just assume that this is true. I wonder if you need these Booleans, and you can.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
If there's like the interface on it.
Yeah, cool. That's good.
Yeah,
one.
we could definitely move that. I mean, if it's implementing the interface, I guess that's the question, right? So
Yeah.
you could just implement the interface. You don't need to set it as a key.
Yeah, indeed. You internally you could just have these keys if you feel like it's necessary. I think there was like, wasn't there like an init method in there somewhere?
In the manager, I think.
In the manager.
In every package, yeah.
Yeah,
Construct. Yeah.
Or in the constructor or the init, yeah, you could use some reflection and set the these booleans yourself, or via another way.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Yep, we'll definitely doing that. And then the init, we're actually refactoring the init so that it's not instantiated every time. We actually talked about that this morning because it's a little performant heavy and also causes a lot of issues instantiating it. And so that is going to change, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are the methods here that basically have to be implemented and are available. So some are required and other ones are optional, but like the read and index, store, download temp, download multipart, stuff like that. And that's basically what every source package has to implement, essentially.
Yeah. Let's see. I also had some thoughts on this as well. Wait, I'm going to fetch my notes again. This is some little nitpicky parts, little nitpicky from my end. I usually don't like abbreviations in method names.
Yeah, I know you.
Just rename this to download
Temporary.
temporary. Even add in file. This is much more human to me. Like download a file. As opposed to
that's a good point.
download the directory, we're not going to download a zip or something. We're going to download the file.
Do you have a code guidelines that you guys like to use?
Yeah, we do have one. I'll send it over. It's at spatie.de/guidelines. I think I have another a few other things that I'm going to take from that as well. Let's see what else I had more. I think that's also I have a lot of little nitpicks. Make sure that you always use like return types. If this doesn't return anything, just mark it to void. Otherwise, I think what is the reason why this isn't void? Is it going to return something?
Agreed. Yep.
A good one
agreed.
to have. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, there were a couple of places where we're returning arrays, I think, with a lot of data in there, and they're usually the same or mostly the same structure. Like, for example, I think there's for every connection like an array of typical client ID, token, connection name.
Yeah.
With some slight differences, like some have an extra property that the others don't. I think that would be really beneficial to just have a data model or an interface for that.
Data type. I've told Toss this many times. He's working on it. We're slowly refactoring. We've been building a little bit quickly, but yeah, I agree with that too.
For instance, there's like I think lots of places where you return like a user in an array. Maybe return like a user and
user type.
A user type indeed. And internally it could have like a loose structure, like it could accept like.
Do you mean DTO, right?
Yeah.
Some kind of DTO. Yeah.
The agent was telling me. It's on me. All right.
If it's going to be separate packages and maybe even at some point in separate repos, it's just going to be super helpful to have. And I should return outside the scope of the application.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Agreed.
Even if like it's something like returning a user or in the interface here, transform service, even if this has to be super flexible, like it could accept any properties, it would already be good to have like like service properties or service data here. So calling code knows like, okay, it's not just an array, it's this kind of info in there. That will greatly help you, I think.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
Let's see what I have next here. There are some inconsistencies that I saw. Let me check. I think function meta here on the manager interface, probably. Yeah, here. Get the metadata, that's metas. And here, get the settings, but that is get settings.
Yeah, get metas. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, just do get metas or do settings, but not. I don't mix these. I think.
All right.
Yeah. Is it possible for you guys to like just create a list of things you see like this and just names that you would recommend, like just maybe a few of them, and then we will.
I have everything.
Okay, you've already done it. Okay, awesome, great.
So I'll share that with you after this meeting.
Okay, great. And I think so. As far as like the packages thing, I think what you said is we could move the ones that aren't sources out of this package.
Yeah. Analytics are not.
Folders and analytics. Yep, those two could probably go in.
That's what I wanted to say, JP as well, because he built it.
Yeah. And then the other ones should be all part of the manager. And then I think we renaming them some way that it says it's a source. I don't know if like source dash Acquia or something like that. I don't know if that's better or something that way.
So you're asking for where the things that you're going to move would live here?
Oh no, I think well, that's a good question. I don't know where we'd want to put the folders section, but yeah, that there's basically two packages in this that shouldn't be in there, which is the folders one and the analytics event analytics.
Folder ones will be like a Laravel model, and migration will move to a migration folder.
Yeah,
that's what I have to.
And then that's it. And then the other ones are all sources, and so this should be separate. We want to be able to maintain them separately. Someone could come in. But I think that's the confusion you had, Freek, was that those two do have views and they have actual like pages. The other ones just implement the manager.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to move over my document here because I have everything here. I also took a look at the main application itself for some small tidbits. You have like an app scope there, and that scope, that's really about queries. I would move that just into the app models namespace, so you have app models scopes there because they concern the models. I think that you started out with PHP unit tests and converted them to PEST. That's also a very small tidbit. If I open up maybe the jobs here, that's a bad example. Here maybe, you actually don't need these. The
reason we did that, because we wanted to filter it. Sometimes when you want to filter one specific job, it's easier in a command line to use underscore instead of a space. That's how we did it.
What I also always do is
quotes. Of course.
Do that in quotes, and it's also easy. But it's a tidbit. Of course, it isn't mission critical at all. This is also another one that I saw. Some of these packages, they just throw exceptions. Let me see where you have one. Maybe just throw new exception. Maybe I'm going to find it. Yeah, here. Here you just throw an exception. I would think it would be much better to have like an exceptions directory here. We have like dedicated exceptions for this, like function failed.
Or for the manager, like have an abstract thing of, okay, this is what can go wrong in a source or a function or a destination or whatever extends from that. That's going to make it way easier in the UI to sort of generalize, okay, this is what went wrong, and like it didn't execute, or there might be a syntax error, or But like from just general exceptions.
Yeah, indeed. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
good.
Yeah. Every package has to have a exceptions folder, basically.
Or
Yeah.
even just having some in the manager that are extract exceptions that you could throw. So maybe like, for example, rate limit exception. And so put that into the manager. We just create a rate limit exception that it could be thrown by any package and then handled that way.
Okay.
And like the way we like to handle exceptions ourselves, let me give you a small example for like how we write exception classes. Oh, this one doesn't have exceptions.
Nothing can go wrong.
Nothing can go wrong with that one. That's like the perfect package. Here we have exceptions here. So what we mainly do is not having like an exceptions suffix, because the name is already sufficient. Check did not complete. And what we do here is we extend exception, and we have like static functions in there that get some properties, and the whole message is being formed here, so you don't need to have it in the calling code. So in usage, that would be something like this, like check did not complete, make, and that's much more easier on the eyes here. If I want to see like the entire message, I can just click through and see the entire message there. So that's the way we like to handle exceptions.
This avoids like having the same exception in two places with a completely different message too.
Yeah,
And throw people off.
Yeah, that would help also too with our roll bar and New Relic. So that way we can actually see what exceptions.
Yeah. Here, this is now an example of like an exception that only has like, one method here, but you could have like multiple reasons here. Check did not complete, and then maybe a public static function because here because of the requirements function, because again missing requirements, but this could be something else, and then these are just grouped here. So that's like a good way to go about that, I think.
Okay.
This is the PDF one. Back to the notes. So that's the exceptions one. This is also a little nitpick of mine. Comments like this one, you don't really need that, I think comments like that can be removed. I think I saw the comments like this both in the package and both in your application code. And
but you should tell that to Taylor, though.
But there's like an excellent way to go about this, to not have these things here. So Laravel has a method to override the stubs, and how you do that is you can have like a stubs directory here and have like named stubs here, and in those stubs you could have like, I think,
change it.
a command stub and then just remove it there. I think we even have like, if you guys want to have like a good basis, a Laravel stubs package that has like everything how we like it. So if I go to, is that the console stub? Yeah, so here you can see the console stub. There are no comments in there at all. So if you copy over this stubs directory to your application, then you would use our defaults as well. We packaged it up so we can just require this in every application that we have and just publish the stubs there. That's how we go about it.
Is it public? Yeah, Laravel stub.
Yeah, this is public, so you can use this. There's even like a composer hook that you can set so that it gets up as soon as we update our stubs, that you get the new stubs in there as well. So, and of course you don't have to use our stubs. You could just use your own. But that's like the idea how you can avoid like these useless comments. And it's only a small thing, but by not having those in your code base, it's just one of the small things that makes a code base really nice to work in, because this feels heavy, right? My screen, there's nothing on my screen here except for these two rows, and the rest isn't really important. So if I remove this, remove this, I already can see a whole lot more of what is happening, and I didn't lose any meaning here. So
Yeah.
that's like the command, the unneeded comments thing. Related, use minimal stubs like sparsely Laravel stubs. Type hints, I've already said that. This is something that I've also seen in the code, both in the package and the app. Comments like this, like if the input is an extension, return the corresponding MIME type, and then stuff like this. Mostly technical code here, I would say. And what we do in our applications mostly is try to convey this by introducing functions and renaming some code. So you could refactor this to, if this is an extension, the input, then the MIME type is that, and then return the MIME type. And this is, much easier than having this comment. Because if you change this code after a while, you have to update the comment as well. And here there's no maintenance of a comment, and it's still readable. So this is something that I think here and there in your code base you could do to make it more maintainable. And then for others, it would be easier to read and have like a better example if they look at your package code.
Okay.
This is kind of related. This is already a good example why comments sometimes aren't really good. I think this one comes from the interface, that this method determines the download strategy. But when looking at the code, I saw it doesn't determine the download strategy. It also does the download itself. So this comment is just plain wrong, or at least a little bit misleading.
I think it's wrong. It's just a matter of like we've had so many changes to it that the comment has probably stayed and the code has changed. So basically what had happened there is that different sources have different download methods. And so when we first developed the download method, it worked one way. And then as we ended up, and this is what I was saying, as we ended up with more sources, we realized that we needed to do it in different ways. And so it probably is a mix between downloading the thing and then also having a strategy to download the thing. So it started off as downloading the thing, then it moved to checking to see if it needs to do a different method. And it hasn't probably been refactored to be clear. Maybe it should be like determine download strategy, and then move some of the code out into download that just does the downloading in a certain way. So basically, if you think about it, we have three different ways of downloading something. We could download it, stream it directly, and that'll be just, we could take it in chunks. So in certain chunks, because some files are very large. And then we can also take it, I forgot what the other one is, into the temp directory and then move over. And so there's just these three different ones. So like you can imagine that if a file is like 1 terabyte, there's actually another one with memory and stuff, but you could either put it into memory, you could put it onto disk, or you could just say, I'm gonna take chunks and then upload that straight to S3. So that, since we're running on an ephemeral system, our systems only have, it runs on ECS. And so they only have 120 gigs of RAM. So if a file's over that, then we need to do some sort of download strategy to get that file. And so that's basically how that has evolved, and that it's incorrect now.
Yeah, this is like a perfect example why you want to avoid comments like this and have it really in code. This is a little bit of another example because it's a method name, but that's really an example that code can change, and comments won't always be updated. You want to say something, Alex?
Yeah, no, because we're speaking of refactors, I just thought of something else to consider with the packages approach. It's going to be really easy to refactor stuff now because all the package code is part of the same repository right now. So say some method in your manager interface changes, or you want to rename it or whatever, or add a argument, it's just going to be a PHP storm refactor. The moment you decide, okay, we're going to start moving things around and having separate repositories, it's going to be one change in 20 different repositories and probably 20 version tags as well.
Yeah. That's indeed important.
For that, I would say this is why we're trying to do a lot of different ones, and making those changes. And it's very easy, like you said, it is easy right now. And then eventually, as probably hired you guys to lock in and hone in the manager, so that we're not changing stuff in the future that we're actually, because I agree, it's going to be very difficult later on, but if we could solidify, once we have everything working and everything's working, we can go ahead and get the manager to be 100% perfect, and we don't have to do much refactoring. That's the goal. Right now, everything is kind of amorphous in the sense that, like we said, we get this package in and we have to change this, we get this, but then my goal or our goal was to think if we get like 50 packages and they all work and we refactored, cleaned everything up, make it all solid, and then the 51st package in the 52nd should not require any refactoring. That's the way we're looking at it.
But there will always be changes where you need to go through everything. For instance, if one of your dependencies change, like right now we have Guzzle 7, but imagine that Guzzle 8 comes around, then you have to go through all these packages and update them for like Guzzle 8. And that's like something to be aware of. No matter how well you design these things, it will always be a little bit of a maintenance burden. I think we see that with Mailcoach as well. No matter how well we designed, there are always some small reasons why we have to go through all the packages.
I think some of these might extend of Laravel interfaces as well, which is going to give you the same issue with like requiring Laravel's contracts to extend from your package. Say a new Laravel version comes around, that's 20 more text.
Yeah, it's something.
This is what you do because you have a lot of packages as well, right?
Yeah, we are very aware of this.
Yeah, I know. For every Laravel version, I'm not afraid to share this. I think in total we spent like everybody together at Spatie. It's like a week of tagging, I think, that we need to do. So it's something to be aware of.
Favorite major version or even the sub versions?
Even sub versions. Yeah, because you have to not only update composer.json, but you also have to update like the GitHub workflow that does something that runs all the tests. If there's something failing, you need to adapt that. So I think it only takes like 10 or maybe 20 minutes per package. But yeah, even if you look at this, 10 or 20 minutes multiplied by how many are there here?
There's going to be hundreds, so that'll be 1,000 minutes.
So yeah, it's going to be a maintenance burden a little bit. Either you have to do it manually, or either you have to have some scripts that do it automatically for you. Yeah. But it's hard to write such scripts. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm opposed to your plan, but yeah. No matter how well you designed it will be a maintenance burden.
Maybe like if it's actually going to be 100 packages and you really want to have them maintained in separate repositories with like many more people working on this, maybe worth looking into submodules, like Git submodules. Like make the repo even more complicated, but might help you with like quickly being able to like do these refactors or quickly change 20 of these composer files at once. Check if everything works, run one test suite, because like it's going to be easy to test all of these in one test suite in the main application. But it's going to be it's going to be a bigger pain to have like a separate test suite for each and every one of these and set up like a fake framework to test these different manager functionalities.
Or maybe
I think the goal for us is to have it so that like you have I don't know if it's a stub or just a publish that we could generate. You could say, hey, I'm going to generate a source package in a Laravel command. It generates the package with all the necessary files, and then you just do the small implementation of the 5 functions essentially, or methods that are required, and then it also generates the tests from there as well.
Would these packages always be on your own namespace or your own vendor, or do you see yourself using like third-party packages as well?
I mean, the goal is to have third-party ones. I mean, I think that is the goal. We can't maintain and develop every interface that's out there. I mean, there's random sources. Like, we're working with companies that are across the globe, and they have DAM systems that are very small and unique to them. And so we look at like, hey, like, we would be able to hire third-party people to maintain that portion or create that manager, or they can do it themselves. And that's kind of the way we look at it. The big ones, obviously, we can maintain and we can do, but But, we just think that there's probably 100 or 1,000 different packages, and this we thought would be the easiest way to maintain it.
I think what could also be done, I'm just thinking aloud here, just for like your own first party packages, like make a mono repo for all of these. A little bit like Laravel does. Like you have like Laravel skeleton. Laravel skeleton uses Laravel framework. The Laravel framework, sorry?
Socialite as well.
Socialite indeed as well. Where you have still everything in a repo.
That's the one we look at.
Yeah, but split out in packages. So that could work.
Yeah, that might be the way to go, where we have the manager and these different things. The Socialite is like the model that we're looking at, because we do very similar things. I mean, we implement some methods after the fact. They're doing the OAuth the same way, and then after that, we have additional. They basically stop there, and then you have to implement the get methods, down all that stuff on your own. We need those methods essentially, and that's the only difference between this approach and Socialite's approach, is that we require 4 additional methods essentially.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to think about it a little bit more, but let me move on to other things I've noted for now. This is like the same example of here. Like this comment is lying a little bit, transform and persist the service, but this method just returns an array, doesn't persist anything. I've already said this one, some functionality be a little bit
I'll be
more.
right back. I have to run to the loo. Just 1 second. You can keep going though. Keep going.
Okay. Okay. I also saw like that there were some job names that aren't really clear what they do. For example, there's like a media exif job, and I probably think it will extract some media exif data.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be better to have that in the name itself, so you always have like some kind of verb in the name, so you know this is going to do that. Otherwise, you really don't know, is it going to save media exif data to it? Is it going to retrieve it? Is it going to delete media exif data? You really don't know. So that's also a good thing to do, I think.
Okay, sounds good. We will do these by... We'll do. I'm probably going to do all of these backend guys until the next session.
Yeah.
Then we'll go from there.
Let's see if I missed some other things. I think these were like the most important ones, I think. Yeah, the rest I've all said, I think. Yeah, I'll share this in a bit. Yeah, and the next question that I have is like, where do you want us working on? Because we have some time reserved. And I think a good place for us was to take a look at the manager. And then my first question would be like, how would like the perfect source or destination look like to you?
What's the entire set of data that's going to be processed? What's the entire set of features that needs to be supported?
Yeah.
And because right now it's sort of like, okay, Dropbox maybe implements some methods, and like Facebook will probably implement some other methods.
Yeah.
But in a scenario,
for sure. I mean, like these methods probably are, the naming is probably not right, but maybe like it's like a CRUD. You sync you get the list of the files. Basically, we call index. Store is basically redirecting to the OAuth, and then gets the access token and then saves it to the database using other functions. Then it's going to be download and refresh token basically, and I can update you with the rest. Let me see. You get the information of the user, download, and then check to see if the record, because these packages already they're in. When you index multiple files, they give you some sort of ID. We store it in the database. We call it file ID, and we check against that data in our record to see if the record exists or not. Let's say we don't sync it anymore. So we have methods like a record doesn't exist. Basically these kind of things like user indexing storing, downloading, and getting the thumbnail path and record doesn't exist.
So this interface is already contains what you want like a source to do. It's like there's nothing more.
Maybe it's a little bit much. We're enforcing a lot. Let's say it's size, or for example, for size, we probably don't need that. Or transform file or service. It's not really related to the source. But for the rest, until record exists, we use those a lot.
See here, transform file. It seems to be implemented per source, right?
Yeah. So basically, every source gives you some different information, different kind of array. We might need DTO for every one of them. And the keys are different. That's why we moved transform in a transform file. Basically, we get those information and then we just like normalize it. And saves it to the database. So every package. That's why every package has this.
I wonder, what would be like the best thing we could do here? Maybe for like the next couple of days, I could take a look at like
how we can dry this, right? Dry it out more.
Sorry?
How we can like dry the code out more, like we can reduce the code noise.
Maybe I should take a look at the manager and maybe at one of the sources and try to make it how I would make it, like with
That's
all
a great idea. Yeah. I mean, that is the core of the application. It's just the manager and a source package, basically.
Yeah. And maybe I'll just refactor those two to everything that I would do. And then check with you guys.
That'd be great. Honestly, that'd be awesome. That is exactly what we need. Because then after that, we could copy that method. We can implement that ourselves. There's, like I said, there's the manager, and there's four basic. There's four types of things. There's a source, a destination, a storage, and a function.
Yeah.
And that's the core of the application. That's everything. Everything else is just a view, just looking at CRUD stuff and whatnot. And so the source one is the one we've been going through. The function one is basically you give it an asset and then it does some sort of process on it and then output some data. And then the storage one is basically S3 connection just to backup files. So that is pushing things into a S3 compliant system or stuff like that. And then the destination is just like Facebook or something like that. It's pushing it. We separated out that way, even though some packages could be sources, and we got rid of that. And we decided, hey, I've rid of it. I said just keep everything as one. So each package is either source, function, or storage, or one of those essentially. So each one is specific. So yeah, that'd be the best approach, I think.
And could Dropbox be like both a source and a destination, or would you then have like a Dropbox source package, Dropbox destination package?
Yeah, we separated it out for now because it was getting too confusing. So yeah, it would be one package for source and one package as destination at the moment, just for sanity purposes until we lock this down, and then we can decide if we want to put them together.
Yeah.
So for right now, everything is either one of them.
Do you have any documentation on how these four building blocks, so to speak, are going to interact? I know that obviously there's the application code, but I can imagine there's tons of edge cases you've run into, and I wrote some
documentations.
Yeah, we have documentation. Mine might be as good as as we would like, but there is a ton of documentation. We have Confluence, and we could add you that if you haven't have it already.
I haven't got that, so please.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let me send that over then. Check if you have. Let's see. Oh, Ben is on the line. If he has, can you send over the documentation, Ben?
Yeah, sure. I'll add into it now.
It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. Just like it's probably going to be what's most important is going to be in there. Like whatever is out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like the source right now. I mean, for the function, we only have like one, which is process, and we haven't built destination. But source and destination would be like. Yeah, needs a lot of refactoring.
Yeah, I think like I'll start with like the manager and like a source. That's already like a good way to start, and we'll see where it goes from there.
So these are all sources, right?
Yeah, correct. Most of them. I think the only one, event analytics, and then some of them are functions. EXIF is a function. So this is where I was saying it might be good to name them like function dash.
In the
EXIF.
config, you can in the config folder for every package has it says the type of it. So this is a function, basically.
I would also put it in the name if I'm honest.
That's
like,
what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, just to make it very clear, like what kind of package this is.
Yeah, true.
So let me go through it really quick. I'll explain it. So that is so those are all sources. EXIF is a function. The media info is a function, and the recognition is a function. Sneak peek is a function, and that's it. And the rest are sources.
Our sources, yeah.
Folders is we should move that. Folders and event analytics shouldn't even be in there.
Yeah.
And then that's it, basically. And the thing with like the reason we did it this way, functions is probably where we see other developers developing a bunch of stuff. So for example, we have each function is basically like a function that runs on the asset. And so some of them are like transcribe the asset. They do generates the sneak peeks, gets the EXIF data. They're all separate. And as like new AI technology and new models and stuff come out, we want to be able to quickly just create a package that takes that, we give it the asset, and it spits out its whatever data it is for that. And that's all you have to do. And that's been very versatile for us and very useful so that we don't have to actually build these things out individually.
Yeah, got it. I might have already one concrete question here. So here we have like a function record doesn't exist, right? That's inside of the Facebook package. But here you interact with like, I guess this is a model that is within your application, right?
Yeah, that's the only place we use that. Yeah, that's right. You shouldn't.
This isn't that common to use like application code, because if you move to like package code,
it's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work because file isn't in there unless you have like some sort of method or interface or some kind of bridge to do that. But this is not common to do this. I hear you say.
Yeah, to do. I think there's a to do there to move all that stuff out.
Here we have another one. File service. Yeah.
Dropbox.
So we have to kind of like find information from the file and then just pass it to this function. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess the manager or whatever base package you have should have like some kind of call or interface that you could call to check this, because the people that make these packages, they won't have access to this file method, but maybe there could be like I don't know, some media lake class that is documented, like this file exists or something that you could use in your package without you having this. Yeah, I'll just propose something that how I would set up a thing like this.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. Yeah.
Do you see something else?
No, I was thinking might even be part of the parent manager.
Yeah, that you could call like a method on there to check it.
Or to get access to the rest of the application.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are something. Some of these things are gonna become obvious only when you start moving the packages.
Yeah. I only thought of it because I saw like that model kind of thing on my screen here now. You know what? I'm going to, for the next couple of days, I'm going to take a look at the manager and the Dropbox one, and I'm going to refactor it the way I would do everything in there. And also share my notes here with you, so you can take a look at that as well.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. No, obviously, there's a balance between, for Haas and our defense. We obviously there's a balance between getting stuff done and then also, maintaining the code. And I think that's where we reach out to you guys, because we see your code, the quality is really good, and we want to get to there, because the better that we can have this, the easier it is going to be to maintain. Now that we have a proof of concept up and running, we have clients, and we have actual investor interest and stuff like that, because the actual product does work. Now we're looking at all right, let's get code quality, code maintenance before this thing explodes into to 1,000 pieces. And so we appreciate the feedback, and obviously it's very useful for us. It's also good to just get a set, another set of eyes. But you guys maintain so many packages that we feel like you guys would be the people to call, and that's what we did.
Who are you gonna call?
Yeah, exactly. You should say that. There you go. You can call.
Nice.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the application at all?
I
okay.
also installed it here.
Okay, cool. You got it up and running as well. Nice. Perfect. Yeah, and so for brands, it's been very useful, because they have content across everything. And for Citizen, for example, they have content across all these social media sites. And so what we're trying to do is give them one view for all this across global brand. And so it's been working pretty well. We need to make sure that the code quality is up to snuff, and that it's going to scale in the next phase of this. Right now we have the functionality, proof of concept, the product, it works. Now we need the second stage, which is scalability, maintainability. So
out of curiosity, in the current setup, are there any limitations or technical depth you feel like you're running into right now, or that you already know of? Okay, the whole source function destination thing is not going to work for X.
Well, we haven't had that. I mean, I think we had some scale issues, but we're fixing those. Just figuring out optimizing things to run a little quicker. We've tested it. I think Norris tested it with 100,000 assets. At the end of the day, the size of the asset doesn't matter, because it's just a line item. It's just a record. I have discussed with the team that I think this application is probably better as a document store than it is MySQL, a bunch of joins. And so we were looking at perhaps moving to a document store for the assets and keeping MySQL for just the users and other management, because there's a lot of joins, right? Because every function adds a table essentially that joins onto the asset record. And so there's that limitation. But for right now, it seems to be fine with 100,000 assets. I think it'll get us where we need to go. And then when we need to, we can refactor, migrate over to Elasticsearch document store, which I've used in the past. I don't like MongoDB, but something like that where we could do a document store, because the way we're querying the data typically is just getting that individual asset, and everything about it. And so I think that would be later on a refactoring. But other than that, everything seems to work. Every source, we're able to do a connection. So nothing too big there. I just trying to prevent any problems in the future by getting you guys involved and increasing code quality.
Yeah.
Maybe in the next meeting, I'd be interesting to see this being used in a real life scenario. Just to have an idea of what are people sort of building with this? What's their workflow with it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. I could definitely show you an instance.
Yeah,
we have a Citizen.
I want to create posts or something, but
yeah, we have a Citizen Watch company. They're on it as well, and we're talking to Dr. Pepper, and we're actually talking to Google as well. They're interested, and so because they have the same problem. And so I was telling Hassan first $200 million application on Laravel, and this is the goal. Quick exit. I sold my last company. It was on WordPress. It was fucking for 50 million. It was easy enough. So I think for this one we could sell for quite a bit. Servicing enterprise companies, but yeah, that's the goal. I'll show it to you whenever you want. Instead of meeting, we can run you through a real life application running.
I have to go in a couple of minutes, so let's do that the next meeting.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, I'll propose a meeting for mid next week. I don't know my schedule by heart, but I think we could in that time span have the next meeting where I can already show you some refactorings then for the Dropbox and the manager, and then we go to the real life usage as well.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Let's do that. Sounds good for the agenda.
Okay. Cool.
Right.
I'll also share my notes with you so you can read that. So you don't have to watch the whole recording here again.
Yeah. Send it. I will create a task for it. I'll try to start doing them.
All right,
Okay.
later, guys.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
See ya.
Thank you.
Always
Thank-
great. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.